Cold open asterisk. It starts with sound. A low rumble, mechanical, deep enough to feel in your chest. The trees shake first. Then the ground, an American infantry squad, 8 men, maybe 9, crouched in a hedgerow outside Villers Blockade. June 1944, they'd been told the road was clear. It wasn't. Through the smoke and dust, something moves, not fast, deliberate, heavy. Then they see it. 56 tons of German engineering, angular, brutal. The kind of machine that doesn't look like it belongs in this world. A Tiger, one soldier, a kid from Ohio, whispers, "What the hell is that?" Nobody answers, because they already know. This is the tank every GI has heard about. The one that shows up in letters from the front. The one that turns veteran tank crews into shaking wrecks. The Tiger doesn't charge, it doesn't need to, it just rolls forward and that's enough. The first encounters. Tunisia, February 1943. This is where the myth begins. American forces are green. Most of them have never seen real combat. They've trained on Shermans, been told they're good tanks, reliable tanks. They've been told they can handle anything the Germans throw at them. Then the Tigers arrive. At Kasserine Pass, U.S. tank crews get their first look at Germany's new heavy tank. And it's a massacre. Sherman crews fire at range. They watch their shells hit the Tiger's frontal armor. They watch them bounce off. Not penetrate, not damage, just bounce, like throwing rocks at a battleship. One after-action report describes it plainly. Our 75 guns were ineffective against the frontal armor at combat ranges. Ineffective, that's the word they use when they mean useless. The Tigers, meanwhile, are killing Shermans from over a mile away, punching through armor like it's tin foil. Crews don't even have time to bail out. A tank commander named Lieutenant James Burt later recalled, "We hit one Tiger 7 times, dead center. Nothing. Then he turned his turret toward us and I ordered the crew to abandon. We were out before his gun even fired." That's not combat, that's survival. By the end of the North African campaign, the Tiger has a reputation, and reputations once earned are hard to shake. Why the Tiger was so feared. Let's talk about the gun. The 88 MKW K-36, originally designed as an anti-aircraft weapon. The Germans looked at it and thought, what if we put this on a tank? So they did, and it changed everything. This wasn't just a bigger gun, it was a gun that could kill any Allied tank in service, at any range, from any angle. The 88 could penetrate 4 inches of armor at 1,000 yards. The Sherman's frontal armor, 3 inches, and that's at the thickest point. Do the math. A Tiger could sit on a ridge, hull down, and pick off Shermans like a sniper. The Americans couldn't even get close enough to return fire effectively. Then there's the armor. The Tiger's front plate was 100 mm thick, sloped in some areas, flat in others, but thick enough that most Allied guns couldn't touch it. The sides? 80 mm. For context, the Sherman had 76 mm of frontal armor, and it was considered adequately protected. The Tiger wasn't adequately protected. It was a fortress, and it wasn't just about thickness. German armor quality was exceptional. Hardened steel, face-hardened plates, the kind of metallurgy that made even a penetrating hit less likely to cause catastrophic damage. But here's the thing that really terrified American tank crews: accuracy. German optics were the best in the world. Zeiss lenses, precision engineering. A Tiger gunner could identify and engage targets at ranges where American crews were still squinting through dust. One Sherman commander described it like this: you'd see a flash on the horizon, then your buddy's tank would explode. You wouldn't even know where it came from. That's the nightmare, not just being outgunned by something you can't see. The Tiger could kill you before you knew it was there. The psychological impact. Fear is contagious. By mid-1944, the Tiger has become more than a tank. It's a myth, a monster, the thing that lives in every tanker's nightmares. GIs write letters home. They talk about the Tiger. Not tigers, plural, the Tiger, like it's a singular entity. A demon, one letter recovered from a soldier in Normandy. We heard the Tigers are in the area, nobody's sleeping. You can hear them at night. Even when they're not there, you think they are. That's psychological warfare, and the Germans didn't even plan it. Reports start coming in from the field. Units reporting Tiger sightings. Dozens of them, hundreds maybe. But here's the problem: Germany only built 1,347 Tigers during the entire war. So what were these soldiers seeing? Panthers, mostly. The Panther was a different tank, lighter, faster, more common. But it was big, it was German. And if you're scared enough, everything looks like a Tiger. Intelligence officers started calling it Tiger fever, the tendency for Allied troops to overestimate Tiger presence. A battalion might report encountering 10 Tigers. Actual count, 2, maybe 3, but perception is reality, and the perception was that Tigers were everywhere. This fear magnified the Tiger's effectiveness. A single Tiger could hold up an entire Allied advance, not because it was physically blocking the road, but because nobody wanted to go forward. Commanders had to deal with tank crews refusing to advance, not out of cowardice, out of rational self-preservation. One officer wrote, "You can order a man to charge a machine gun nest, you can order him to storm a bunker, but you can't order him to drive a Sherman into a Tiger's kill zone. He'll do it, but he knows he's dead." The myth became more powerful than the machine. How U.S. forces fought back. But here's the thing about myths: they can be killed. American forces adapted. They had to. First rule, never fight a Tiger head-on. If you see a Tiger from the front, you run, you flank, you disappear, because frontal engagements are suicide. The Sherman's 75mm gun couldn't penetrate a Tiger from the front. But from the side, from the rear, that's a different story. So American doctrine evolved. Tanks started working in teams, coordinated attacks. One Sherman draws the Tiger's attention, sacrifices itself, essentially, while 2 or 3 others maneuver for side shots. It worked. Sometimes. One tank commander described the tactic. "We called it the Matador." One guy plays the bull, the rest go for the kill. The problem is the bull has an 88mm gun. Then there's artillery. Can't penetrate a Tiger's armor with a tank gun? Fine, drop a 155mm howitzer shell on it from above. American artillery doctrine was the best in the world. Forward observers, radio coordination, the ability to call in fire missions within minutes. Tigers were tough, but they weren't immune to high explosive shells raining from the sky. And then there's air power. The P-47 Thunderbolt, the Typhoon, fighter bombers with rockets and bombs. A Tiger might shrug off a Sherman's gun, but a 500-pound bomb, that's a different conversation. Allied air superiority meant that Tigers couldn't operate in the open during daylight. They had to hide, move at night, stick to forests and towns. That limited their effectiveness. The Americans also started upgrading their tanks. The Sherman 76mm, a longer, more powerful gun, not as good as the 88, but good enough to threaten a Tiger's side armor. And late in the war, the M26 Pershing arrived. A true heavy tank, 90mm gun, thick armor. Finally, something that could go toe-to-toe with German heavies. But the real answer wasn't better technology, it was teamwork. American forces learned to combine arms, tanks, infantry, artillery, air support, all working together. The Germans might have better tanks, but the Americans had better logistics, better coordination, better combined arms doctrine. One veteran put it simply, "They had the Tiger, we had everything else." The Tiger's weaknesses. Because the Tiger wasn't invincible, it was slow. Top speed on roads, 24 mph, off-road, slower. A Sherman could do 30 mph on roads, faster in some conditions. Mobility matters, speed matters. The Tiger was built for defensive fighting, holding ground, ambushing, but it couldn't chase, couldn't exploit breakthroughs. Then there's reliability. The Tiger was a mechanical nightmare, overcomplicated, prone to breakdowns. The transmission was particularly fragile, couldn't handle the tank's weight. German tankers joked that for every Tiger knocked out by enemy fire, 2 broke down on their own. And fuel consumption, catastrophic. The Tiger's Maybach engine guzzled fuel, about 1.3 miles per gallon on roads. Off-road? Worse. Germany was already struggling with fuel shortages by 1944. Running a Tiger battalion required a logistical miracle. Many Tigers were abandoned not because they were destroyed, but because they ran out of fuel. And here's the critical weakness. The Tiger was vulnerable to coordinated attacks. One Sherman, no chance. 5 Shermans working together, supported by infantry and artillery. The Tiger's dead. The Germans knew this. That's why Tigers operated in small groups, supported by infantry and other tanks. But by 1944, Germany didn't have the resources for proper combined arms operations. Tigers were often thrown into battle alone, unsupported, expected to perform miracles. And sometimes they did, but miracles don't win wars. The legacy. So why do we still talk about the Tiger? Why is it the most iconic tank of World War II? Not the Sherman, which won the war, not the T-34, which destroyed the Wehrmacht on the Eastern Front. The Tiger, because the Tiger represents something primal, the idea of the perfect weapon, the unstoppable machine. It's the same reason we remember the Death Star, the white whale, the dragon in the cave. The Tiger was the monster. And soldiers who faced it, who survived it, they carry that memory. Veterans still talk about it. 80 years later, men in their 90s will describe the sound of a Tiger's engine, the way the ground shook, the fear. One veteran interviewed in 2003. "I've forgotten a lot, names, faces, whole battles, but I remember the Tiger. You don't forget something like that." The Tiger killed fewer Allied tanks than you'd think. Statistically, it wasn't even the most dangerous German tank. The Panther had a better gun-to-armor ratio. The WWII destroyed more Allied vehicles, but the Tiger had something those others didn't: presence. It was the tank that made soldiers write home, the tank that appeared in nightmares, the tank that decades later still shows up in movies and video games and historical documentaries, because the Tiger wasn't just a weapon. It was a legend, and legends once born never really die. **ending. France, August 1944. A road outside Falaise, an American GI, a Sherman crewman judging by the oil stains on his uniform, stands beside a destroyed Tiger. The tank is massive, even in death, turret blown off, hull scorched black but still imposing. Smoke rises from the wreckage. The soldier stares at it, quiet, thinking. Another GI approaches, younger. That's a Tiger. The veteran nods. Doesn't look so scary now. The veteran doesn't respond immediately. He just keeps staring. Then quietly, "It wasn't invincible. We proved that. Shot it in the side, called in artillery, hit it until it stopped moving." He pauses, but it felt like it. When you're sitting in a Sherman and that thing's gun is pointed at you, it felt invincible. The younger soldier doesn't say anything, because there's nothing to say. The Tiger is dead. The war will be over soon, but the fear, that stays.